بالخميس هلا 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 بالخميس ويكند عيال هلا بالخميس هلا بالخميس هلا 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 بالخميس ويكند عيال هلا بالخميس.
Me. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه وبعد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh to all our viewers, inshallah ta'ala. It's a new, alhamdulillah, it's the weekend. Alhamdulillah, it's the weekend.
Alhamdulillah.
It's Friday. I think all of us
Have
are...
a nice weekend.
it's a weekend when we are happy, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
It's Laylatul Jumu'ah, as Shaykh Yusuf always mentions. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam taught us that khayru yawmin tala'at alayhi shams yawm al-jumu'ah, the best day in which the sun rises tomorrow is the day of Jumu'ah. Why? Fihi khulika Adam, on this day Allah created Prophet Adam alayhi salam. Wa fihi udkhila al-jannah, on this day Allah placed him into Jannah. Wa fihi ukhrija minha, on this day Allah took him out of Jannah. Wa la taqumu sa'a, in another version of the hadith. And judgment day will take place when? It will take place on a Friday. But tonight, alhamdulillah, we have some interesting topics tonight, inshallah, and the mashayikh and the shuyukh are very excited.
Yes,
with us tonight, alhamdulillah, is Shaykh Yusuf, my co-host, and I think Moulana Binting, you know.
He's the other co-host.
It's a third co-host, alhamdulillah, and we have Moulana Binting as well tonight, alhamdulillah. Brothers, how are you doing?
Alhamdulillah, and we don't forget Sheikh Isa.
Sheikh Isa in abstention.
We're missing the brother, Sheikh.
Alhamdulillah, yes, we are, alhamdulillah. But guys, how's the week been?
Alhamdulillah, eventful.
Alhamdulillah.
Today, like Monday and Tuesday was quite quiet because I had a sick day. I actually had a certificate from a doctor to say I must rest, man. But today I really did a lot of things. I was amazed at how much I accomplished this week. Yeah, and this week there's been lots of announcements of du'at, shaykhat, whatever you call them, motivational speakers coming to the shores of South Africa or Cape Town. And it's basically like a boom after COVID. We always had that culture of people coming and visiting. Personally, I think it's a good thing. And I find that sometimes people say, but we have scholars here. But a new flavor. Imagine eating the same meal. Okay, some of us do. Some of us eat tikka every time. Whenever there's a fast food opportunity, Moulana Ashik eats tikka. But I mean, there's sometimes when you want something different. Yeah. All right. So I saw a post about somebody saying people come to South Africa to study deen. Why should people come here then to teach us deen? But when the people come here, it's not usually to teach us deen. It's to unlock and to share. And I think it's part of a ta'awun. Ta'awanu ala al-birri wa taqwa. Assist one another in doing good. And when a foreign speaker comes, he brings a different dynamic. He brings a different flavor. And I think, I mean, what's wrong in that? I don't see the...
To be honest also.
The oh boy.
To be honest also, our people, I think, and Allah Ta'ala knows best, are more acquainted with international speakers than with local speakers. Right? So we have Mufti Mink is very popular. Norman Ali Khan, all of these speakers. Tamamble as well, So our people, when they get the opportunity to interact with these shuyukh and du'at and stuff like that, I think they love that opportunity. So I think it's something.
I think it's the same with the Qur'an. In the Qira'at fraternity, the Qur'an is asking, why are you bringing qaris? And our Qur'an, mashallah, we have reciters on a level where they are also traveling, man. So the thing is, we travel to other places, people travel to our shows. I don't see why, throwing a spanner.
I think it's more an inferiority complex, man.
Jealousy, man. It's jealousy. Wallahi, Sheikh. Wallahi, you have a class with 5-6 little boys and a few old men sitting in front of you. And then a man comes from another country and then hundreds or thousands of people flock there. Wallahi, as du'at, it should be more about the message, man.
Definitely.
It should be more about the risala. Whether you do it or I do it. We should be like a father and son. Right? Your father always wants better for you.
Definitely.
If there's a da'i that was younger than you, you might, that Hij might surpass you, man.
Not
You might
true.
have taught him alif bata, then he surpasses you. Should you now feel, I think there's certain matters regarding this young boy. Don't listen to him, and he's friends of someone who's deviant. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Is this a culture that we want to
And I
promote?
think, alhamdulillah, as Muslims, the more we mature in our understanding of the deen, we grow past these petty differences, man. Things that we can overlook, right? And so,
Not that we don't have our boundaries.
no, definitely we have our boundaries, but we are able to differ with respect and agree and disagree with respect, I think.
Yeah.
But it's also an opportunity for us to engage people with a different outlook and a different perspective, man. And we can benefit by means of that and bring it over to our people,
Yes.
our local people
Yeah.
in a different from a different angle. I mean, we've been saying the same stuff over, regurgitating the same things over and over and over. And yeah, if we look at our topics that we are discussing, and this is Cape Town, the thing is born somewhere, but we raise it.
Yeah.
The thing is born somewhere, it's born somewhere else, but Cape Town is we raise anything, man. And we really
We take it. It's like a
welcoming.
Tamagotchi, and everybody comes
yeah.
around the
As I-
Tamagotchi, and
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
No, but I
yes.
mean, like certain issues that are new to us, man, because we're an established community of centuries, right? There are certain things that come here later than communities that are more newer.
The Islam
right?
is younger.
The Islam is younger, infant communities, like grappling with faith. It's not something that we particularly had here before.
Yes.
Right? You either with us or against us. You're not like thinking, what am
Yeah.
we would use that term, taharuka. It's a taharuka, or you go into the masjid. But now you have a youth, he's in the masjid, but now he's grappling. Should I stay here? What must I do? I don't feel I have this internal battle. But people elsewhere have already dealt with it, experienced it, dealt with it. They have books written on it. So why should we say why were we importing their ideas
and put methods in place also then?
So like mentioning that now, I was speaking to one brother. He said in his masjid there's a young university student, and he brought up topics such as with the other youth. He was the youth leader, and he started bringing up topics such as LGBTQ with like this one. You get what I'm saying? So he caused a whole boy, and he went on TikTok and he made little videos about LGBTQ. Allah does not, if you
discriminate.
If you have, like example, you have battles and desires. Allah does not keep you liable for those desires, which is true.
But then he evolved. Is that the same brother who now came out and was now?
Allah knows best. I don't know.
I'm not on.
But the community was very shocked at this man because he was looked at as a bright young man, learning deen. He's studying at university. I'm not going to give any other details. But this was very disappointing to the community, man. And the community, when they don't know how to deal with these issues, what do? They shun you. They shun you and they place their heads in the ground.
They don't listen to you.
We cut ourselves off from you. We don't associate with you. And as Sheikh Yusuf mentioned, if you look at the example of the American climate, they deal with all of these things that we face afterwards, like the cancel culture and the Me Too movement and spiritual abuse and all of these things. So we can learn a thing of two from these du'at when they come. I'm not saying they replace our scholars, but they give us perspective.
And many of them, if you ask, because that message says we have scholars and people come here to study. We're not negating that. So what are we saying? People shouldn't leave our shores to go and study elsewhere. I mean, where did our teachers go? I mean, there's a chain.
They need to do.
They travel. Somebody traveled somewhere. So we're gonna say no. Nobody travels because we have this brand of Islam that we want to keep here, and we want no outside influence. I mean, that's impossible. That's like, But
in 2016, when was it when we traveled for Umrah? Was
2016,
2016. Then we visited all the madaris in Mecca, and the systems that they had in place, man. Wallahi, it is ajib. The man is saying that we have over 5,000 students, but they have a studio. They have a studio, and we weren't even clued up that time. And people from all over is phoning into the Sheikh, and the Sheikh is rectifying tajweed and is listening to memorization of
people in China and people in Russia.
People in Africa is saying we're having students from all over the world.
You would say this is a professor of Shi'ar that's reciting Quran.
Yes.
But guys, we're not here for that. And I'm sure our followers and people viewing are not there. We are here for Qabiltu checklist part 2. right? And it was quite interesting. And I agree with you, Sheikh Ashik. You know, the interaction on the social media pages is not the true reflection of how people watch our content.
Everywhere I go. In by Pick n Pay, ek het jou gesien op Qabiltu kyk forward vir die nuwe episode. I'm like, brother, can't you just like and say something over there?
Yeah.
Just
So
like,
we put out this post, but instead of actually putting it there, people sent us some questions. So there was one question. So we said that choosing is on the basis of deen.
Yeah.
All right. So this sister got a proposal from a brother who she doesn't know from a bar of soap. She doesn't know his family. She doesn't know how he got to know about her. But anyway, there were certain questions that she didn't feel comfortable in asking. Like, do you pray? Can you recite Quran? How deeny are you? So because she didn't feel comfortable in asking those questions, she just didn't show any interest, and she turned the proposal that she didn't give him any chance. How do you navigate around that?
I think it's in the game changer in proposals and those type of things is not speaking directly to the system, because obviously the wali has the sisters importance at heart and life for her. So he's gonna navigate
Her best
the whole
interest,
process,
her best interest,
at heart. So he's gonna ask the questions, and he's not gonna be shy in asking the questions because
like we said last, we're starting from Vishabuya or Vishabuya's
exactly. Yeah, he sets the bar, and he creates that. This is what is expected from you. You're already here now, so we're asking the questions. This is what is expected from you. If you do not tick those boxes, then unfortunately, she don't need to ask the questions.
And that's exactly what I told her. Use a senior in your family. And I think that, speaking or taking the proposal directly to the sister without speaking to the wali can potentially save you heartache also. All right? Because then basically you spoke to the wali says, look, no. Now you engage the sister, engage as in speaking to her. And then sometimes feelings, grow. And there we have that issue of sometimes eloping, man. It's a little it's something very ugly.
I've heard a few times people elope.
And this generation, they don't know or they don't pay any attention, or they don't put any importance to the fact that we move on our parents' du'as, man. And that is actually what is making us successful. People making dua for us. And there's a reason why we're making dua in plural when we read Surah Fatiha and we are recommended, or we are to make salah in Jamaat, because if your Amin don't work, my Amin might work for you.
And the Malaikas Amin, and something that I find, I don't know. Sometimes you find the Imam never saying Amin. This is a side note now. All right. He recites the Fatiha wal Dalin. You don't hear the Imam saying Amin. And that muwafaqa, muwafaqa, the agreement. Prophet mentions the agreement of, the Imam, your Amin and the Imam's Amin, and the Malaikas Amin is something we overlook. But you speak about du'as of the parent, Moulana. I don't know if I'm sure you watched Ustad Adnan's talk at Mount View Masjid on Sunday night, and he was speaking about how he was actually accepted to Medina University, right? And because he was married and he had other,
and he was young.
He says he basically rejected the study of deen, and he went on another buzz like a gangster. He was living a gangster thug life, right?
In the UK,
but then he speaks about going to visit his grandfather, and his grandfather would always take him by his chin and make dua for him. Right? And when he was at his lowest, spiritually, I'm speaking about Adnan, and his grandfather was at his lowest, with regards to health physically. His grandfather couldn't attend him, but still, he would touch him. And that dua, he feels, basically
the dua that brought him where he is today.
As a da'i.
No, but the involvement with parents is super important, and I think when you are in that phase of your life where you want to get married and your parents is not pleased with that person, you make all the justifications. Mommy vitti, daddy vitti. Mommy, you don't want me to be happy. You want to stand in my way. But as you mature in life and you grow older, you realize that the opinions and the understanding of life and those things matter in you choosing a spouse. And they only have your best interest at heart, and they will tell you sometimes you can't see things.
Yes.
But your father will tell you, "Daiklong wat jy min vir sê gou nie. Daiklong het
Yes.
daar's iets wat jy reg is van
Yeah.
daiklong
Yes.
is." They can
Insight,
see.
insight.
Yes.
They have insight.
I
here.
mean, even before marriage, growing up, you always think, I'm never going to raise my kids like my parents do. Like my mother says, when she was younger, she always told herself, I'm going to buy my children all the chocolates in the world, because I don't know, my grandmother probably never bought chocolates.
Yeah.
But my mother is probably one of the most health conscious people when it comes to consuming certain foods that I know.
Yeah.
And so she's always curbing myself or my father from eating certain things. But
Sweet tooth.
but I mean, when she was younger, she was saying that I'm going to buy my children all the chocolates that they want. So you grow up, becoming little copies of your parents.
Absolutely.
Sheikh, okay, I'm going to ask another question. And this has popped up in my head because there's lots of similarities between myself and my father-in-law in the way we conduct. They say you marry your father, you marry your mother. You not like marry your mother, but I mean your partner has very often certain traits that one of your parents have. Do you find that to be true in your? Does your wife have traits of your mother?
Of my mother?
Of your mother?
Yo, that's difficult. That's super difficult. My mother is, I think, the coolest and the most, level-headed and the most, like, I don't want to compare the two, right? But my mother is a cool person, man.
Okay.
She
doesn't stress.
I really see my mother angry.
Okay.
Yeah, I really see. I don't live with her, but when I am with her, I'm spending time with her. She's the type that she's easygoing. My wife always boasts about the fact, she boasts to other people, I've got the best mother-in-law. And that's a rarity today, because you always have issues with your in-laws and stuff like that. Run-ins maybe. You love them and you appreciate them and they raised your wife. But at the end of the day, you have your run-ins with them. But my wife, always says, like, I've got the best mother-in-law because she's such a cool individual, man. Like, people becomes angry, and stuff like that. So I'm going to be honest. I'm going to say no.
Okay.
Yeah,
no,
it's a simple thing. It's no. If it's no, it's.
But maybe Sheikh Yusuf's experienced something different.
Well, many people say I'm pedantic or like borderline. I want things to
like corrupt.
Like no. Like Sohail says, I always like things clean, man. Right? And my father-in-law was like that.
Okay.
Everything the wire mustn't be dirty, or there mustn't be the spilling of water, stuff like that. So yeah, there possibly are similarities, and obviously my wife didn't know of that similarities. You don't know your partner till you really marry, and that is, I think, the challenge. Because the courting phase is different. Because I don't look like this every day.
The courting
my
phase is a
throat is not always so crisp.
Yeah, it's a facade.
I mean,
you are the best actor at that time because you want to, as we say,
You must impress.
Você will impress the bow.
Yeah.
You get
Sheikh, even the Shaykh Krashman that Sheikh Kamda wrote about.
That's a good article for anyone to read. It's called Shaykh Crushes. It's found on Muslim Matters.
Yeah.
It's important because we're living that reality, right?
People think the Sheikh is perfect.
Yeah.
And mashallah, his thobe is always nice because, he has to get dressed for class, but it doesn't always look like that. And sometimes, the comparison is what? Comparing stuff sometimes spoils your dreams, man.
Yeah.
It spoils what you have. It spoils your contentment.
Yeah, but they should realize also there was somebody behind that crispy pot that you're having on ironing it there for you and all of those things.
Yes.
So
the article is called Shaykh Crushes Trials in the Lives of Men of Knowledge or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
So it's an interesting article because the Sheikh that wrote the article, he speaks about his experience. I don't know about his personal experience or other.
Of colleagues, he speaks about colleagues, Muslim,
people see the Sheikh giving the khutbah and the class and the dars and they're so impressed. Ya Allah, if only was married to such a person. Because they assume that this guy probably wakes up in the morning, whispers Bukhari and Quran in the wife's ear. But it's not like that. If you want to know a person, oversleeps for Fajr. If you want to know his true piety and level of,
ask his wife.
Ask the wife.
Yes.
She will expose him. So sisters out there, don't become easily impressed, inshallah. Don't easily become impressed.
There was a question with regards to...
I think we all got questions in our personal capacity. So that's the first question I got. How do you navigate about asking difficult questions? Use your wali. That's what the wali is there for.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, sure.
There was a question: isn't milka, misyar, a form of mut'ah?
Okay. So what is mut'ah? What is misyar?
defined,
What is milka? It's three totally different things.
Yeah.
So we start with muta, which we don't have.
Yeah.
In our Sunni circles, we don't have.
We don't have it.
What is muta?
So muta basically is the practice of temporarily getting married to someone and paying that person a fee. And after you fulfill your need with that person, it's basically like a marriage with no strings attached.
Yeah.
After that, you just move on.
So if the time elapses, say I'm married for 2 weeks. If the time elapses, it's finished.
Yeah,
It finishes, yeah.
So somebody comes for holiday to Cape Town,
Yeah.
right? And he wants to get married for 2 weeks. That's what
That's-
muta is.
Yeah.
But we
Yes.
don't. It's un-Islamic.
Definitely.
According to us, it's not
Yeah,
accepted in our tradition.
It's totally haram.
And when I say tradition, I'm not talking about culture. I'm talking about Islamic.
Yeah.
It's totally
Values
haram.
and Orthodox Islam considers that like wrong, haram,
Okay.
sinful.
Okay. You can't get married with the idea of getting divorced.
So that's a different issue.
Okay.
The issue where you get married biniyat talaq. So someone comes to Cape Town, he's going to be a student here for the next year. He plans on getting married, and then he plans. He's not telling that to the sister. I'm going to leave her when I'm done. If you, from a purely legal perspective, right, that is permissible. But from an ethical perspective, it's a crappy human being that would do something like that to someone.
And we spoke about, and yeah, we're not painting all foreigners with the same brush.
Definitely.
But we speak of experience, man.
Yeah.
Where a brother goes home, I'm going for holiday and never comes back.
Never comes
Yeah.
back, yeah.
So please,
I know personal scenarios like that, yeah.
And in the different communities, man, we have seniors. I mean, like in the I'm not going to mention certain nationalities, but there's always a senior in that community, man. So when that brother A from country A comes to you, ask around who's in charge of them.
Yeah, of the
consult.
community,
Get
that community,
Yes,
yeah.
consult.
Get a reference from this individual.
That's a good idea, yeah.
Yeah. So also, like the sister asked, how do I know this person is religious? So I said, ask for references.
Yes.
I mean, we won't think twice of asking for references when
For
we're
jobs.
employing somebody.
Yes.
Now you're going to share your whole life.
Your entire life.
And you don't ask
Yeah.
references,
Yeah.
yeah.
Also, with mut'ah, there's no witnesses,
Mhm.
no wali.
It doesn't follow the
It
conventional
doesn't follow the conventional method
nikah
of
process,
nikah.
yeah.
So,
There was this video that was making us around on TikTok, and where the sister actually explains.
Oh, yeah.
She explains misyar as being like basically
Almost like a muta.
like a mutahammad.
now that's the confusion that the people have, because they're saying,
So temporary marriage is not allowed in
Yeah.
Sunni
Yeah.
fiqh.
Yeah.
yes,
It's a no-no.
Yeah.
Right. Then we have something called milka, which has become
Very
popular.
popular, yeah.
Misyar is not popular here, but we will
Yeah.
speak about what misyar. So
yeah.
milka, what is milka?
If you check up the word, right,
It's
obviously
to own.
milka means something possessed or owned, but
Yeah.
if what the people describe what it is, you don't find it like that.
Yeah.
But basically, this is what I've heard what people say milka is. So it's basically two individuals getting married, but then not consummating the marriage and living apart, basically. So from a purely fiqh standpoint, this is something which is allowed. Because it is not wajib for the husband to
Live with a to consummate immediately.
consummate the
Yeah.
marriage, exactly.
The Prophet didn't consummate all his marriages
Yeah,
immediately.
exactly.
but there's also ikhtilaf amongst the people, amongst the understanding of the people in Cape Town.
Okay.
Can you consummate? Or you technically?
She's your wife. She's your
legally-
wife.
My thing is this:
Legally, I'm married.
no one can stop you from doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. It also depends what we define intimacy as in the marriage. Is intimacy?
Khalwa.
Is it
Yeah.
or is it
Yeah.
mubah?
Yes.
Is it merely mubah?
Mm.
Can you suspend that which is mubah? Example, like I use this example a lot. There's a common misconception in Cape Town that marrying a second wife is sunnah because in Nabi het moes gedoen. No, the category that the scholars assign to second marriages or plural marriages is that of
Mubah.
mubah. Yeah,
It's allowed.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
really allowed. I.e., there's no reward or sin attached to it. So there's
Yeah.
no special reward.
For it,
Allah.
yeah.
But it
Yeah.
is a grave warning.
So if you get married, half of your deen is fulfilled. So you married two, your deen is complete.
Subhanallah.
Nothing like that.
No.
nothing
Nothing like that. So people would say, example, if a sister puts it in a contract, right? My husband cannot marry again for the second or third time, right? Then they say, A'udhu billah. That's the deen. You're rejecting the no. She's basically telling him he's unable to do that, which is permissible.
Yes.
It's like telling my husband,
You can't cycle on a Sunday.
exactly. You get
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
You cycle when I'm busy with something else.
Okay, with,
I
with,
move
with,
like that,
with
yeah.
regards to that contract, if we look at al-Muslimuna ala shurutim,
Yeah.
right? So I agree in the
Yeah.
beginning of the contract, I agree
Ah.
that, okay, I'm not going to take a second wife. And then in this marriage, I go back on that.
Uh,
I go back on that. And then in this marriage, I agree that, okay, I'm not going to take a second wife. And then in this marriage, I go back on that. And then in this marriage, I agree that, okay, I'm not going to take a second wife. And then in this marriage, I go back on that. And then in this marriage, I go back on that. what is in the consequence that I
So
face?
this, if you contradict
What
and if
is-
you
what is
break
the-
the
yeah.
shart, the condition,
Yes. So what is the stance of the female at that specific time? Do I even have the right?
she can apply for
I
fasakh
see.
because he broke the condition which is placed in the
Yes.
contract. That's number
Getting
one.
hot in here.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
getting hot. Yeah, nah.
Yeah.
So-
And you, why not wearing a collar?
Nice, I just so that's the issue here. The issue of milka. Can a couple get married?
Mm.
Can they not consummate the marriage? Can they live apart because they want to prevent themselves from haram?
Yeah.
Yes, by all means.
So student is at UWC. He's studying. He has a weekend job working in a supermarket packing.
Spell.
You wait.
Yeah,
Spurt
so-
volgens nou zeg je
so
dus
wait,
mensen.
so wait.
Okay, works in a restaurant, a place where they flip steaks and stuff. And he can not afford to rent a home yet.
Yeah.
To save their chastity,
Mhm.
would milka then be an option?
I would say it's an excellent option
Mm.
to get married like that and to.
So he's in his third year, and he says, after 4 years of study, I get my job. The first month, I get the salary. We move in together and we consummate.
No problem. The only problem is if they actually want to consummate before the time. You know,
Nobody can stop them.
No one can stop them.
I-
Yeah.
I'm again from the angle of, okay, I'm staying here. I'm married. You staying there.
Mm.
We're married.
We
to
can
each
still
other.
consummate.
We can still consummate wherever we're gonna
Meet up,
wherever
yeah.
we're gonna meet
So if
up
I
and
can
whatever.
afford a Houdini getaway
Yes,
of
I mean,
saving
yeah.
10 months
But now
salary.
I still have all the luxury.
of
of
being...
not- I'm not annoying to you. You're not annoying to me.
Mm.
And when you are annoying, I leave.
Yeah.
No, because that is
Yeah.
that's technically what you can do.
Privileges of a
That's the
single,
privileges.
of a bachelor and a married man at the
So
same time.
so now I'm in this marriage for a few months.
So he most never would want to move in then.
Yarr.
Now that's my problem that I have with Milka.
Now that's why you're the eldest on this couch.
Generally,
Because you have the
No,
inside.
but it
Yes,
depends also what
generally.
type of boy. You know, who's gonna.
Look, I mean, as only a religious, for me personally, it's somebody that's conscious about the deen that would consider milka. Because
Yeah.
I mean, we have people living together, we have people
Yeah.
being intimate outside of marriage, and you know, I mean, the most pious people slip and fall,
That's
right? You
true.
can't make a mistake, but I mean, you actually say, "No, I want to milka.
Mm.
I want to marry. You stay by your mother. I stay by my." I think it's a relatively
Mm.
deeny conscious person that will do that.
It's not the person that will say later, I've done my deed. Nah,
it's not the ideal situation.
Yeah.
It is not.
As a plaster.
It's a plaster.
It's like, it's not a doctor, but as a paramedic.
Look. Whether you encourage it or whether you discourage it, you can't make haram what is halal.
Yes.
That's
Okay. But
basically it.
according to you, you don't like it.
No, I don't like it.
Okay.
I don't like anything. I'm of the opinion that, Sheikh, if you want that,
You go all the
then
way.
You need to make the necessary sacrifices for that.
Definitely.
And
So even if, you know, the issue of ba'a, man. What is ba'a?
Mm.
Man istata minkum al-ba'ata falyatazawwaj. People usually think it's the youth that has the money.
Mm.
I mean, if you look at the braid scam, quote unquote, of Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu and Fatima, it was a family affair, man.
Yeah.
It was the wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you know, getting
Scraping
together the
together.
mattress,
Yes.
stitching
Yes.
making the bahangsels.
Yes.
It wasn't. I mean, if you look at, and yeah, we need to assist people to get married, man. Ali goes out and to sell his shield, right?
Yeah.
Uthman buys it,
Yeah.
gives him the money, and gives him back the
Yes.
shield.
Mm.
All right. And now you look at Uthman ibn Affan, he's already in the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's family, all right? He's already a squinsin. He's already a son-in-law. Now, Ali doesn't have anything. Uthman is rich. We
Yes.
usually don't want that type of person in our family.
Yes.
Okay, no, we don't.
But that's how it was done all along. You know, if you're looking at District 6
Yes.
days, everyone chipped in basically.
Mm.
Everyone came together, they contributed, they gave something.
Yeah.
It also gives something. It adds value to your marriage, man. If you
Your
start
family
off
nog
and
help
you
me.
build- Yes.
You know how family nog help.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, we spoke about commonalities, and it's always better to get married on the same level, in the same culture.
Mm.
But what if we tell somebody comes now and then comes and, you know, tardawna dina wa khuluq, everything is there, but you tell him we all hufad in this family. We all mashayikh. You're not welcome here.
Mm.
We all medical doctors. You're not
Yeah,
welcome here. We all professionals,
Mm.
and you're a plumber. You're not welcome
yeah.
here.
Mm.
You know, That I think, and it happens very, very, very often.
Mm.
Because I mean, what stops a medical doctor, a lady, from being interested in a proposal
From
with a
plumber.
man that has a ambach,
Yeah.
that has a trade?
Yeah.
Can we say there's inequality, Sheikh Ashik? Could we say that it's not
think
going to
the
work
issue-
statistically?
the
Are we going to take
issue
out that
of-
file? And
The issue of kafa'a and what you call this in English?
equality,
Compatibility.
equity,
Compatibility.
compatibility.
Compatibility. I think it's judged by the society that you live in.
Yes.
So if you lived in the prophetic era, right, then they would have considered being an Arab and a non-Arab and
Yeah.
stuff like that, right? At the end of the day, the Prophet gave us a litmus test, and the only compatibility that is the wajib that should be there is the deen. Any other compatibility falls to the sideway, right? So it depends. If the sister wants to be involved with an individual, with a guy that's a plumber, no worries, no, go for it, inshallah.
But you know what? What
Or
I also
electrician.
find. Oh, you know what?
An
What I
electrician.
find.
A spark here.
Yeah. Man of many hats, young.
You know what I find? This milka is prevalent and is common in our school children.
Okay.
So
I've never really heard people practicing on it.
not practice, but wanting to practice.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Wanting to find out more.
No,
and looking for
obviously.
the answer.
I can
That is
understand.
do you understand
if
that?
you're in that position,
Yeah.
where you are on high school, you are interacting with the opposite gender,
Stuff.
you are interacting with attractive women, girls, and your body's going through hormonal changes and all of these things. I think
I've actually heard of boys who they've been at Hiv school or like a Darul Uloom kind of a setup. They go back to school. Some of them feel uncomfortable
Yes.
being in school.
Yes.
And some of them leave school
Yes.
up to go to a college.
because it's hectic.
They can't handle.
They can't, yeah.
And you sent me that article you typed out, not the article, the points. And one of the points that the Sheikh mentions in that article is the fact that men look and they actually battle not to.
And many women don't understand.
Don't
this
understand
point.
the fact that say but he's actually battling, man.
Yeah.
And you was a young man of 16. So I say you left school,
Yeah.
grade 7. You were 12-year-old. You were still playing. Do kids still play marbles?
No.
Okay, they don't play marbles. He was still playing.
We played marbles.
We played marbles. Yo.
Big.
Tall.
Tall. Kapkinetjie. As ek dit nou, as
As you was a petit.
jy sien my patini.
But look,
Uncle.
okay, you left at 12. You left school at 12. You went for HIV. You were in a only male environment. You actually became a man in a HIV school
at madrasa.
at madrasa. Right? You're 16 and now go back to school. You go back to an Islamic school or a Muslim school. There's not supposed to be that intermingling, but there is. Now you have that.
Sheikh,
You have that battle.
It's wild.
I'm here to learn, but I can't learn.
But I think,
I mean,
no. You mentioned an interesting point. One of the
does it
points-
happen? You were educated.
Yeah, what happens all the time.
You know now.
There's no way to prevent. There's no way to prevent that.
Nature.
You're
Fitra.
gonna run like you're gonna run.
The best, if you want to prevent it, you need to keep them apart.
Fully, completely.
Fully, yeah, completely. Yeah. So
Yeah. Different
whenever,
campuses.
like I go to when I go to walk, go to the mall, I see a student, right, that I taught maybe at the school where the respected Sheikh is teaching. Then I see he married a girl from
From the school.
Yeah.
It's like
Okay, my wife is from my high school, but we weren't there at the same time. So when we meet our teachers, they say, I say, I didn't meet her at school.
yeah.
You know, my wife did HIV. I went to school. I left school, and then after my matric year, then she started. Like 2 years after, she came back to school. So our teacher was saying, okay, but no, it was not so.
So now what is the difference between milka and musiardine?
Okay, so milka, like we discussed it now, is predominantly something young people would do. Misyar is where you forego certain rights. And unfortunately, the rights are more foregone by the sister. Foregone.
Because because the burden of finances
Okay.
and the burden of time is on the man.
Yes. Misyar, what does it mean linguistically? Sara, Yasiru. Like
to make user easy and stuff
make
like that.
easy.
Facilitate,
okay.
To make easy. So that's why I said something is born somewhere else and we raise it.
It's something which happened in the Gulf predominantly, in the Khalij.
Yes.
So your brother, if you look at Saudi, it's not a small door piece, right? So the big cities we know, Riyadh, Jeddah, and that's where the hustle and bustle is. So brother, maybe he lives in a city, let's say Buraida. Buraida is about 4 hours away from Riyadh. So from Sunday, the work week
Start Sunday.
Start Sunday now. It used to start Saturday, but from Sunday till Thursday, he's in Riyadh, all right? And wife and children, they're back at home. So from Sunday till Wednesday, he's alone, all right?
No conjugal partner.
No conjugal partner, nobody to speak to, nobody to interact with. Then you have, and it's mostly divorces, and that's also something we need to relook.
Yes.
The stigma attached to a divorce.
Yeah.
So a brother who's never been married won't marry her. Or a brother who's divorced, he's going to look for another picker. He's going to look for another
young
lady. So what happens to all those divorced sisters? What happens to all those sisters whose husbands have passed on? They have homes. Sometimes they have no children.
Yeah.
All right? So what does she opt for? She opts to be that man's husband, for that man's wife during the work week. And she forgoes financial support sometimes. She forgoes the weekends. She forgoes being known as his wife, because very often it happens in secret. And that's a danger. Secret marriages.
Yeah, secret marriages is another thing.
Like you hate...
Milka, you dislike Milka.
You have a dislike for Milka. I have a dislike for
secret marriages. And predominantly it happens when it's a second wife.
She suffers the brunt of it.
Yes. Even though she agrees, her conditions and the situations is kind of forcing her to agree to these conditions. But the brother
taking away her dignity.
Yes, he doesn't need to inform his first wife.
Brother, looking for when I said comparison is a thief of joy. When you spoke about Shaykh, when we spoke about Shaykh crushes, you have a good husband, mashallah, down. You look at Shaykh Ashik, mashallah, he's so crisp, and then you compare the arma man at home, mashallah. Shaykh Ebrahim, we continue. There are some questions, but you can
go for it.
Have you lost your train of thought?
No, I'm saying usually it happens when it's a second wife. And I think that's just from the man's side, that's just coward. That is coward, man. It's also dangerous.
You take it on or you don't take it on?
Yes. And be straight and be upfront and
open with it.
Yes.
Don't hide it.
Yes, exactly.
Sister Suraya Azada says, what's the sense to get married and you live apart? Exactly Moulana Benting's point.
Okay.
Play up a kamer. Why don't you stay in a room? Starting off, I appreciate what I have now. I remember getting married and I had like 2 pairs of shoes. I like shoes, but I had 2 pairs of shoes. Right? And then you grow together. You start in a small room.
I think it's best they are growing together.
Yeah. And then Sister Suraya says, excellent topic, well needed, especially for the youth.
But we need to continue, Sheikh.
On
that document that I sent you now, you have it in front of you. If you move up, there's 4 questions.
Pull it up. Okay, let's pull it up.
Questions that you can maybe ask the Mashaykh.
Let's pull up your questions, inshallah.
What question?
But Sheikh, I got a question. Moulana Binti got, this entire week, people were speaking about...
but people want to know the fiqh, man. They don't want to know the juicy stuff, man. They want to know the dry topics, man. Milka, is it permissible?
Okay, so Milka is... Okay, we have 3 types of marriages that we spoke about. We spoke about MCR. Permissible or not?
MCR, permissible.
Permissible, yes.
Milka, permissible or not?
Based on our definition, permissible.
Permissible.
Mut'ah, haram.
Haram.
And then getting married with the intention of divorce.
Technically, according to the majority of the scholars, it is permissible because you're not telling that to the female, right? But at the end of the day, a person who does it is a crappy human being. Klaar wat het so is.
I think marriage is a mas'uliyah, man. It's a responsibility. And you had a question.
Yeah.
The stay-at-home dad.
The
responsibility of nafaqah
is on the husband.
Is on the husband. But the way I see it, it's something difficult for young people to grasp. He's looking at, I went to university, studied, graduated, I got a job. You went to university, graduated, got a job.
Mm.
I earn 50,000. You earn 50,000. You're telling me your 50,000 is for makeup, shoes, bags, and for your mother. My 50,000 is for you,
the kids.
me, the kids, my mother,
My makeup.
my, my makeup,
That is true.
my beauty products.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something difficult to grasp for a young man. Why?
Do you know what? Do you know where I put this? The stay at home then. Under Miss Yan. I'll put it there. Even though
He's
you know why?
sacrificing his manliness,
No.
his masculinity.
No.
Oh.
It's ease. It's it's ease.
Okay.
Look here. The financial conditions, the economic condition of females has changed a lot.
They earn more
over
than
the
us.
years.
Many of them.
Right?
Many.
And most of the females today, they earn more than the males.
Yeah.
So if someone needs to look after, who do you think who's gonna? If I look at my 10,000 rand and I look at your 50,000 rand, I think you should stay at home.
That's what happens here.
So you stay at home, and that's as the female, I agree to that, which means
I'm
it is a
forgoing my
condition.
The pool is bigger. There's more money to
Yes,
be
definitely.
spent on the family.
under which category are you going to put that? Not from the beginning of the.
Is it
of the
okay?
contract.
Okay, so Moulana, the primary role of the man is the provider,
Yeah.
right? Primary role. So, open. So the primary role of the man is the provider.
Yeah.
Primary role of the woman is the nurturer, looking after the children.
Yeah.
That roles can be swapped if agreed upon.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
What implications does it then have on the natural
Order of things.
Yeah,
order of
that's
things?
that's the issue. That's the problem.
So it's allowed. And I think that when we have marriage classes, the traditional marriage class speaks about fiqh. And last week we spoke about people think they need that. And they definitely need to know
The legality.
Yeah.
the legality. How many times, and this has happened to me in 90% of the people that comes to me with a marriage problem. I tell them, do you want to be married? They say yes, very often. But he works on my nerves, man. I said, then you don't need me.
Yeah.
You don't need
a
me.
therapist.
You need a therapist.
Yeah.
Why is it that every little problem is then brought to the imam? My wife also threatens me with an imam. If my two mentors are listening, I'll be threatened with Sheikh Dhafir Najjar and Sheikh Faik Hamid. I have the utmost respect for these two seniors, and I think that sometimes your partner uses that to just like you're not going to listen. And you need that, man. You need Look, if it, not expose, man. I don't think that expose you, but just to speak some sense into you, man. You're not going to listen. Praat met die klong. So don't think that it only happens in. I mean, they only bring the guy to the imam. The imam is also sometimes to take it to someone. I mean,
The other if it is not agreed in the beginning of the contract, if it should be that I earn more than you, and we need to do this, and then you must look after the children, whatever, then we change it in the middle of our marriage, and the
Conditions
situation
change.
now, Conditions change. It's the same.
I mean, it could happen, Sheikh Maaf, to scratch in your moon. It could be that the company now has to have a BEE status, so they need a black lady to take
be the
the
head of the
position of a
company.
Yes.
man who was the provider. So they get rid of that man
Yes.
and they put a sister in his place. That could happen to you, and then your wife gets a job at another company. So now conditions change.
Danger.
But then there are certain requirements that a man needs. Sometimes I call it, I can't remember the rest of the R's. It's a few R's, but the main one is respect.
Yeah.
So it doesn't, I mean, Khadija used her money
Yes.
in the marriage when the Prophet devoted his life to da'wah. But he wasn't belittled, man. He wasn't
not left.
emasculated.
And
Right?
reminded,
So you have that brother, he's a stay-at-home dad, but then he's waiting in front of the PlayStation for the wife to come out of work to cook.
No, then he's gonna be disrespected.
But then weekend comes, then shouldn't then the sister try to reverse the role? So I think it's a slippery slope. Black and white fiqh, it's allowed, but the nature of things come to play.
Definitely.
Sheikh, so the first question, you said there was 5 questions.
No,
we already have your answer of last
no,
week. What was your perception of marriage before getting married? Last week, Sheikh said his wife would listen to whatever he says. As I praat, I would say, luister.
No, that's my perception of marriage was. This is what I thought about marriage beforehand. I thought it's gonna be the best ever, which it is. It is the best.
Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, we have good partners.
I wanted to get
Alhamdulillah.
married. It's
Yes.
not a matter of like, you know.
And you got married relatively young? How old were you?
21.
21.
That's
Yeah,
normal.
it's normal. In my circle, I got married very old. I was 24. In my
That's a lot,
circle,
that's young.
it's very young.
Yeah.
But my sister got
I
married
know
at 17.
most of the people that I interact with now get married at the age of 28.
Yeah.
That's like so. I knew it's gonna be bliss. What I didn't know is I thought like I'm gonna have that maspal approach. Yes, tea.
But
Now, Satas,
I thought it's gonna be like that.
but it's so alive.
It's so alive. Well, that bullshit, I don't think you can intimidate anybody.
Exactly. Yeah. That true.
Yeah.
Okay, so but you didn't find it like that. I mean, like Moulana mentioned last week, you marry another human. Humans have the complex, they have moods, they have emotions, and not all of them are the same. You know, for me, for example, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, "Tazawwaju al-walud al-wa'ud al-wadud," the loving.
Yeah.
So now, my mashayikh always said, if you want to see who's loving, look at the mother. But I mean, it doesn't work. It doesn't really work.
How do you know she's loving? Look at the mom.
Traditionally, and again, I say those fiqh books and those, what is was this popular book that we bought, man? The Boom of or even Sheikh Jibali's books.
Qawarir, something.
Rifqan bil Qawarir. Sheikh Jibali's books is very fiqh orientated and stuff like that. And it was revolutionizing in its time. But now there's other discussions, man, about things that weren't even taboo in the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Like, I have this sitting with the girls at the Hiv campus on a Friday morning. So we gave them an assignment where they had to look at the hijrah, right? And look at the female role players in the hijrah and then study the seerah. I can't remember which sahabiya the sister did, but this sahabiya was an excellent poet. All right? Excellent. Top notch. So somebody wanted to praise her and they told her, you are the best poet with breasts. Like, and we won't use it was, ooh.
Yeah.
Then she answered, I'm the best poet even with testicles. That word, it was a sahabiya. All right? So we have this these boundaries of haya, of shyness, of bashfulness.
Yeah.
You must always help me with the English Arabic terms. Bashfulness, all right? They won't speak out of their turn. But she was a proud individual. She was confident. So now you're telling me I'm only the best poet amongst the women. I'm some of the best poet amongst the men. But they used, they mentioned the body part, but we like shy away. And in actual fact, when she said that, everybody was like,
yeah, but the Arabic language makes everything
sound
nice.
more beautiful. Yeah.
So yeah, but with regards to the stay-at-home dads, look at our nature is to provide, man, and our nature is to we must feel useful. I don't know about
not true. No,
you need to feel that you are needed.
Our love language is providing.
Yeah,
that's our love language.
I know brothers who live off marketplace, Facebook marketplace. Buying, selling. So if you have that, if you're in that situation where you're looking after the kids, so now you've packed everybody's lunch, you've dropped all the kids, and now between 9 and 12, you're just sitting at home. There's for a PlayStation. Why can't you do that hustling on marketplace?
Exactly. Yeah.
Buy a couch, sell it, buy a coffee machine. I mean, sell your cell phone.
Yeah.
People nou seker mense wat 5 job per dag het en hulle so
En laasel nog altyd.
Eerlik kry tyd vir marketplace.
Yes, sir.
So in between.
Yes.
Okay, so
you don't have an excuse today, man. You don't have an excuse.
Okay, so the next question is, what advice would you give to someone in your situation planning on getting married? So you have to give. So we usually do the capital, no? It's like we do the talqeen. The Prophet says, "Laqinu mawtakum, la ilaha illallah." So the talqeen is actually before the person dies. Right?
yeah.
We give a capital after the
The
guy
capital.
already. The capital, but I say is also petition.
Nee, ek het dit gesê.
Zeg eens iets tol gekapje.
A
A capital is the nasiha in the bridal chambers in the bruidskamer.
I have a nikah van
Bruidskamer.
this weekend.
The capital.
They asked me to do the capital.
Okay. Okay,
But
so
they didn't say capital.
They didn't say.
Give
I
the
don't think
nasiha.
they know what
They say-
capital is.
They used to say the fatwa van die bruidskamer. Then you know what verse they call? Unna libasul lakum wa antum libasul
Fatwa
lahum.
van die bruidskamer.
Daai is die fatwa van die bruidskamer. Whatever jy nou fout gaat vind hier, my kan ek sê nou vir jou.
Hou het
dis
hier
tussen
nie.
jou.
Ja.
Ja, hou het.
Hulle is baie strikt geweest, né?
You know what? Our females is very vocal today.
Ja.
Just look at the dynamics today, man. Look at the dynamics. Back in the day, our mothers didn't really work. They weren't required to work. The natural
Set up.
dynamics.
we make
you-
work with what daddy earns.
you stay at home, you look at
Kyk agter die kinders.
kyk agter die kinders, sorg dat die kinders by die madrasa uitkom en sorg dat die kinders by die skool uitkom en ek sal gaan werk. And at times, and I'm speaking about in our own families, you would see your titi or your aunties, they're unhappy, man. They're unhappy, but wat kan ons maak? Hy provide for us, hy gee vir ons, waar gaan ons? We don't have anything of our own, man. And today, the reason why our divorce rate is like it is because sy kan nie van my sê nie, sy kan nie van my vermaak nie, because ek het my, you know what? I have more than you.
And also we find parents saying, don't put up with that nonsense.
Yes.
The door's always open for you, my girl. The door's always open for you, my girl. Don't
Yeah.
take your husband's
Yes.
nonsense.
Yeah.
And the sisters.
Yeah.
They embolden them.
Look, I'm not saying the in-laws are just,
Yeah.
you know, it could be.
Just clarify
Yes.
that now.
I'm just
Yes.
clarifying it. There's too much support for walking out.
Yeah.
But there's also another misconception.
Of have sabr. There's this
Ja,
extremes.
ja.
Het maar sabr.
Go
Dit
to
was
the
hou jou mond as jou man praat met kan hou maar jou mond. They didn't mean hou jou mond. Hou jou mond het hy spesifiek tyd.
That story of the
Man,
baitopie.
Byt op die tong is.
Baitopie as iemand.
So wat was op die as iemand?
Oh, you moon?
Hou jou mond as jou man praat.
That's misogynist. That's chauvinist.
Hy's vir my dit. Ons
Jy
praat
ken die storie nie.
Okay, so the capital is given too late, Sheikh. For me, like the talqeen
Before
is
the
given
marriage.
after the guy's dead.
Yes.
He must
Of no
actually.
use.
It's of no use to him. He's dead.
Praat met jouself.
Now
No, you're speaking to the living man.
the
Kyk ja, hulle staan dit is Arabic.
That's why I was explaining it. Man.
So we're on manage issues here, but the issue is the capital. The capital should be given before. My boy, you are responsible
Yeah.
predominantly for nafaqah.
Mm.
If there isn't, it's your responsibility to sell your PlayStation,
Yeah.
to part with your
Yes.
mags on your car,
Yes.
to put your things on marketplace, because now, you know, for me, it's so amazing how we can make something work when it needs to. So couple comes, Daddy, want to get married? You're 16. No,
Yeah.
can't get
Now we're
married.
gonna do
Daddy, I'm
this way.
pregnant. Oh,
Okay.
till trouw donderdag aan.
Yeah.
Alright? Same thing. People get accredited for Hajj. That man can sell his PlayStation. He can sell his car. They have two cars. They get rid of
Yeah.
one. They can become minimalist very quickly
Very
because
quickly,
they have to.
Mm.
But now, in the marriage, in this resources become less, and now becomes fighting. You know, we had another senior friend, a colleague of mine, Hudhaifa al-Amriki, and he says problems in marriage with people say it's personality issues. It comes down to two things: the
Money.
bed and money.
Yeah.
Not true.
The
100%.
bed and money.
100%.
That is the asal or the origin
Of all.
of all
Yes.
frustrations.
Yes.
Not true. 100%.
And we never speak about intimacy.
Yeah.
And Mullah Ebrahim said he doesn't want to speak about
Apparently, Malay Ibrahim is the specialist in the room.
No, I told you I'm not comfortable speaking about that. I do, however, that verse that I just quoted now.
Yeah,
Hunna
Hunna
libasa
libasa.
I had a ajib
Explanation.
explanation of that verse.
Mm-mm.
And you can tell me if you
can bring
share
up the
my
question,
view
inshallah.
and whatever. Local scholar.
Ah.
And when I said he said that, you guys said he's an authority in the field.
MashaAllah. Brother Riaz Rawat says, love the weekly podcast. Mashaykh, shukran Riaz for your support.
Jazakallah khair.
And we love the fact that you're watching. Fatima Adamson says, yes, agreed. The conversations must be had with our young sons way before marriage.
Inshallah.
there's more focus on the wedding than the marriage.
Yes.
The catering, the colors, the color scheme,
Yeah.
and the marriage is not focused on. Sheikh, you were speaking.
I was saying that specific verse, and you guys it is an authority in
that
the
marriage,
field,
in
in the field,
chapter.
local.
Dr. Phil, our local
Yes,
Dr. Phil.
our
Love doctor. Yeah.
This is and this is how usually how I translate it, that you are covering for her and she's a covering for you, and it goes two ways. We're speaking about defects. We're speaking about
Covering the defects.
the defect number one, and the defect in the management, like in the geaarte. We human.
For
Jy
deze
maak
als-
mistakes. Jy maak mistakes. Cover your let it in must have your cover. But he says that verse also indicates, because you cover her and she cover you, you can be on top. And she
Ja,
can also
hy
be
is
on
diep.
top. So
Hy
I
is
don't
diep.
know.
Jy weet nie waar-
You share my view.
Sheikh, ik
Wacht,
maak
wacht.
maar die boelste
Sheikh,
knoppie los.
Hoe
Ja,
praat die Sheikh?
ja, Allah. Breek maar twee knopjes
Like they
los,
said in the
man.
movies, that escalated quickly.
I mean,
You said-
he said it's not cuff. But I mean, yes,
No.
but that's not only his words. That
No,
is
many scholars
that
have
is
said
the
that,
understanding of scholars.
Yeah.
And if you
In
look
actual
at
fact, some scholars of Saudi says,
uh,
Yusuf look nervous. Some scholars said, so Maulay
it's not
Ibrahim-
allowed. That's
No,
not allowed.
Maulay Ibrahim is referencing a verse in the Quran wherein Allah says, Hunna libasul lakum. They, the
You
women,
are-
your wives, they are a covering for you, and you are a covering for them. So generally, when we learnt that verse, we learnt it from a metaphorical perspective.
False.
Yes.
Example, like something covers you, it protects you.
Yes.
You are there to protect your wife, to cover her faults, her mistakes, her errors, and she's there to cover you. But the scholars have taken that
The
verse.
classical scholars.
Classical scholars have taken that verse to another realm, and they've said that even refers to the bedroom. So when you cover something, and when that thing covers you, it indicates the positions of intimacy and the permissibility thereof. And I think Sheikh Yusuf, I don't know what's the time like.
Sheikh, I don't care about the time tonight. Do we care about the time?
No, you said
Like these guys are going.
Yeah.
This production
You know-
team, they're smiling here.
You know why, Yusuf? He says that escalated very quickly. But we were speaking about these two things.
Yeah.
Two things. that
Finances
causes-
and the bed.
And the bedroom.
To
And
kill
the-
ook super styles.
No.
No, but I mean, like, Sheikh, I've sometimes you gifted a book. You know, I find pride in, before I actually purchase a book, I ask somebody else, have you read this book? This is now before Google. Now you can actually Google a review on the book. But as life goes on, people gives you books, man. And then there's this marriage book that says there must be a sheet between husband and
Yes.
wife. Right?
Yeah.
So now, hunna
Yeah,
libasul lakum wa antum libasul lahun.
You become the sheep.
Scholars believe that, or understand that there's nothing between you and your garment, man.
Yeah.
What do you, I mean, unless it's like very cold, then you have like thermal underwear. But usually it's you and your garment.
Yeah.
Your wife is your garment. Your husband is your garment.
Many times now, our understanding of intimacy is also informed by the culture that we live in, man. So
Yeah.
people would say, you know, he never looked at her and she never
Yes.
looked at his private parts, the Prophet Islam.
And it weakens the eyes.
And it weakens the eyes.
It
and
gives
all
you a
of these-
squint.
Yeah,
Yes.
and all of these things.
Sometimes
But we
people
know
are
these things are
relevant.
not, they don't have basis in our tradition, man.
Yeah. Solid
And-
basis. It's like a traditional-
Fabrication and stuff like that. Yeah.
Mm.
So I think the topic of intimacy is important, as you've said.
Mm.
And I listened to a speaker this
afternoon.
this afternoon in preparation for this talk for the
And he's an
podcast.
amazing speaker in this regard. And,
He-
and the funny thing is, he was teaching traditionally.
Yeah.
And then our auntie asked him in a traditional class, he was teaching Tawheed, a question on intimacy, and he
Yeah.
was not prepared.
Uh,
For me, I look at the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam,
Sallallahu
and I
alaihi wasallam.
think the hadith of Jabir forms the basis
Basis,
of intimacy or intimacy etiquette.
Mm.
Like, for example, can we go into the hadith?
Yeah, go for it.
Let's spend 5-10 minutes, inshallah. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was coming back from an expedition.
Yes.
All right? Jabir ibn Abdullah is on his ride. And he's like, you can see he's in a hurry to get home.
Yes.
He's hashtag. He wants to get back home. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked him, like, what's the hurry? Like usually, if you come out of the masjid, man, and the brothers are standing outside, and there's
Yeah,
one
yeah.
brother is hy wil by die school, right? And then usually we keep him behind. So we should actually encourage him to
Donderdag
go
aan.
as donderdag aan, right? So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked him, why are you in such a hurry? He says, no, I just recently got married.
Mm.
Okay. The Prophet asked him then a very relevant question.
Mm.
Is it a young lady
Mm.
or somebody who's been married before? Is it a mature lady or a young lady?
Bigger, yeah.
Because he wasn't married before, right?
Yeah.
I'm not teaching you guys this hadith,
Yeah.
right? So jump in whenever you want. So he says, no, I married an older lady. So the Prophet says, okay, but he explains his father passed away, he had
young
sisters.
sisters.
Now imagine you have a sister, you have 3 sisters, they're on Instagram all the time, and now you marry a wife
young
that's
wife.
supposed to help you, like
She's
look
also
after
on
them, and
Instagram.
she's also on Instagram. Gaan we se weekie. So what Jabir did, he married somebody older, right? Experienced, somebody that can help him with the young girls. The Prophet tells him something very important. Halla bikra. Hoe kon nie 'n jong meisie nie? Why not somebody young? But why did the Prophet say that, Sheikh Ashik?
تلاعبها وتلاعبك.
Allah. Are you going to translate? Why not a young girl?
Technically, because you can't spell man.
Yeah, so
Zij
you
kan
can
spel
play
met
with
haar,
her
zij
and
kan
she
spel
can
met
play
jou.
with you. Our Nabi said
Sallallahu
that.
alayhi wa sallam.
Sallallahu alayhi wa
Sallallahu
sallam.
alayhi wasallam.
So our deen doesn't
The
look at
importance of play.
intimacy. Yeah. Play, foreplay,
all types of
afterplay.
play. Yeah.
And you know what? I've also realized that the longer you marry,
4 questions. Okay, Sheikh Riyad is indicating that we have 4 questions. Bring them up, Suhail. My phone is dying. Arifa Hassan, salam. There is need to be a part 3, inshallah.
Yay.
Ya Rab.
طيب. Okay. Ishaq Raqiba Felix says, love your approach to this topic. Shukran, brother. Sister Adla Albertan is a very long comment. I feel a woman attaches more importance to the sentimental and emotional aspect of matrimony than a man. Young men who marries must be tipped before that this understanding of this and his mutual tender feelings, it will only make his new wife more devoted to his needs. Yeah, there's definitely a give and take, right? Sometimes, and that's the problem, man. We have rights and obligations. What we look at is our rights and not our obligations. So the issue of respect, a sister doesn't understand that if she respects her husband, he will reciprocate.
That respect.
But if she like second guesses every move he makes and she questions, that's why we never ask for directions. We're proud. We want to be respected.
It's the same like we have to.
Don't put the
cut it.
GPS on yet. My wife always gets angry. I said, no, I know we how to get to Worcester, but when we're in Worcester, I don't know where that road is. When we're in Worcester, put the GPS on.
Ja, ali tangat die boxen en ze begint dan niet. En
You know, read the instructions.
En een uur later is
Sy
skroef
het
sy
die
nog altyd
Allen
die skroef. Waar sy men? Vat net die ding. Niemand, dis mos maklik as 2 sides wat jy raak insit. Dis onderste bo as jy kan. Ek het weer gesê
Kijk eens, we have parts left, Moulana. Have you ever seen something that you have 2 parts left? Okay, so the Prophet told Jabir, Halla bikra, why not a young girl? Tula'ibuha wa tula'ibuk. You can play with her and she can play with you. This is very important. وَتُضَاحِكُهَا وَتُضَاحِكُ. You can make her laugh and she can make you laugh. How important is laughter in a marriage?
Sure.
Super important. Super important, Sheikh.
You know, I look at sometimes Arab movies, old Egyptian movies. Right? You're not supposed to be watching those type of things. They're always hitting women, but I mean, the man comes in, opens the door. He doesn't even open the door. He kicks the door open, comes in, and he has this macho.
Why would you watch that?
So,
Why would you watch
like,
that?
like Sheikh, okay.
The quality must be super low.
No. We don't listen to music, right? We try not to listen to music, but there's sometimes a track that because of how much is played.
yeah.
So Egyptian culture, sometimes people put the TVs outside. It's like real ghetto sometimes, real ghetto move sometimes. So it's warm. So Yisma puts his TV outside. No, I have not seen or walked past an Egyptian movie except that the man smacks his wife. Why? And I laugh every time, but then it's not right, man.
It's not right.
But it's like, this is how can it be normal, man?
You should. One of our colleagues that also studied in Egypt, he say the first time he witnessed that, even his another colleague, they went down and they went to go approach him and they go, ooh, because where we come from in Cape Town,
You stop it. You don't lift your hands.
You don't lift your hands. And wallahi, that's the proper way. But that's a cultural thing. That they think that when they say that the
Slutty lifter.
yeah.
No, Allah, it's
And then
it's unacceptable.
And then the wife says,
Wie hoor jou?
Okay, no, wat was er nou suppose om te doen? Wat was hy supposed?
So
they
she's
couldn't.
so,
Those are women that
Yeah.
She's like conditioned that it's
she's
normal.
conditioned it's normal. Yeah.
Yes,
It's normal.
yes.
Shame.
The questions, was it more? Was it all the questions? Okay, so the Prophet says, why not a young lady? You can play with her, she can play with you. You can make her laugh, she can make you laugh.
So
What?
that brings us to the most important topic of tonight, and that is intimacy. Look at this guys. I reckon excited.
Hey, Brad,
Sheikh,
wait!
Kau become
This
read
guy
ka
is
na lang.
always like a mouse through other podcasts. You never. Wait, I know.
What's the name?
So they get close to Medina,
Ah.
right? And then what does the Prophet say?
Mm.
The Prophet gives him advice.
Yeah.
You know, I was studying Sahih al-Bukhari
Mm.
and Shaykh Usama Sulaiman on a Friday night in Masjid Aziz Billah. Probably some of my most beautiful memories. Allahu
Mashallah.
Akbar. In one night, the Shaykh just stopped teaching Bukhari, and it was close to summer. And in every country in summer, then people must get married more, man.
Yeah.
Get everybody wait for the summer days. And the Sheikh was, and for me, I mean, I was now super orthodox frame of mind that time. I wasn't married, and most of the brothers weren't married, but the Sheikh said, we are going to speak about the etiquette of getting married. And the Sheikh mentioned the hadith of Jabir, and it says, when you approach gently, man. Being that tough guy, you know, Mr. Man on that first night would potentially spoil intimacy
For
the rest of your life.
Yeah. Psychologically scarring.
Psychologically, you're scarring it. So that's very important, man. Yeah, I won't go into details because I have lots of other things to say, but it's not for this podcast.
But I think the intimacy requires a part 3.
But you know what? Also, we as men, you need to satisfy your wife.
Yeah.
You
definitely.
need to satisfy your wife.
That's another
It's
misconception.
not that. Yeah.
I must be
It's not
satisfied.
just-
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but-
must be satisfied.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
It's
Sheikh,
your duty to
okay,
satisfy.
now we're
me.
looking at intimacy, right? And we're looking at Jabir, and we're looking at the article that you shared. So a woman will be intimate when she's loved. A man will love when he's intimate. If his needs are fulfilled, he will reciprocate with love. If you want to be intimate, you need to show love. And I think that's where
That's almost
the languages are like, you're speaking one language, he's speaking another language.
One sheikh says the love language of the husband towards his wife is for spending on her. And the love language of the wife is being intimate with him. Because it's more the man that wants to be intimate. For him, it's about being physical, enjoying himself.
I think that's predominantly, and when scholars speak like that, that's like 90% of people. Because men also like gifts. I like, because there's this general, adu tahabu,
Yeah, definitely. So
give gifts and
the man wants to be intimate, so his love language is spending. The wife's love language towards her husband is physically satisfying him. I lost my train of thought now.
Okay, now we said that the husband reciprocates with love when his sexual needs are fulfilled. A sister will be intimate when she's being loved. So in the heat of an argument,
So how do
a
you
man
reconcile-
can be intimate, but then you touch. Don't touch me.
Yeah.
Just get away from me.
Yeah.
All right, because you now need to show love to be to receive
So
intimacy.
from this
So
we
you
can
had a
conclude-
point to make. So we just go back. So what was your point?
I forgot that. Yes, you want to say something?
No, I was
Okay.
gonna say that Yusuf is saying is like you're asking yourself the question was who was first, the chicken or the egg?
Yeah.
How do you then?
So basically, be the change that you want to see,
Asing?
because you have to then start.
Yeah.
If you want
Can you-
something,
The onus
you
is
need
on
to-
Oh yeah, this is what I wanted to say. Yeah.
Okay. He still
Th-
doesn't.
this guy says this is the love language of a male. This is the love language.
the love
of a female.
language of the male is providing.
Providing. Love language of the female is giving him what he wants. He says, if I give you money, you will
Give-
take my
Money.
money. I showed you-
Okay, no. It's two different languages you're
yeah.
speaking. Okay,
That's a
we're
jump
gonna
off
wrap up
into
in
the-
5 minutes. Still on Hadith Jabir. Just to bring out 2 etiquettes, man. That's very important, especially for the mashayikh. With the rest nice outside.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the Prophet ﷺ had this practice of going, when he came back from an expedition, going to the masjid, announcing that he's here.
Yeah.
We have this thing.
Yes.
All right? Yeah, you're coming home, but it's also nice to give your wife a courtesy call. Assalamu alaikum, I'm on my way.
Yes.
You getting back home and your wife smelling like onions and, not being in the best form, or maybe she likes to mop in her pajamas, right? And it was a pajama day today, but generally you don't like to see that. And if you don't like to see that, you also need to have your A game in dressing up in the home. But the Prophet ﷺ teaches Jabir the importance of grooming, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Of looking your best.
Presentable, yeah.
So you now, don't worry, you now 15 years, 16, 17, 18 years in the marriage, you don't buy underwear anymore. You know, your truth. you start wearing your truth. You start wearing this. You don't care anymore, man, because
and that's important.
Who do I need to impress? But it's not about impressing. Like the other day I had on my status, marriage is not a noun.
It's a verb.
It's a verb.
Something that you do, yeah.
Yeah.
And that causes a man's eyes are always gonna roam, because a man is naturally attracted to the opposite gender, right? We are attracted to
and his visual.
Yeah, and his visual, yeah. So he sees something.
So what we're saying, when we say a man is visual, a sister will get married for geate.
Yeah, a man wants to
easier. It's not that it's not possible, but a man needs to like what he sees.
What he sees, definitely. And that's how Allah created us and wired us, and that's not gonna change. You know, it's not like astaghfirullah, what type of man are you? No. That's how we are created.
I was thinking that now.
And so so when you
I'll mention the point.
when I speak to females, right, I tell them, look, here at the end of the day, even if you are married, you will still find women attractive. But the way you conduct yourself, you will conduct yourself in a decent way with those women, right?
Because you know what you have at home.
You know what you have at home, exactly. So, and for the sisters as well, when your husband maybe, says, yeah, that's a beautiful female, it's not because he likes her and he wants to take her to the bed. No. He's visual, and it's your duty as the sister to help him out. Tell him, no, that's not appropriate, whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, this is how Allah Ta'ala created us.
Yeah, it's like your friend or brother-in-law comes to visit, he's still looking for a wife, and then he asks you, they say that sister is available. Is she pretty?
Yeah.
In most cases, you mustn't answer if your family is around. You're going to be in trouble, right? But what you're basically saying is men are visual. That's the first thing you ask.
Like that.
Who likes it?
Yeah.
So, the issue.
And that's why we are commanded in the deen to preserve our eyesight and to protect it, because it will roam.
It's not an impossible requirement, right? But you have to control it. You have to rein it in, tie the knot, and park it.
I just have this thing, and that's I got from the brothers in Tabligh. They say if you speak too much of a thing, if it's on the tongue, it grows in the heart. Right? It settles in the heart. I don't believe in speaking about my marriage outside. I don't believe unless it's a valid question that you're asking me with regards to.
In Arab culture, right, where I lived, probably the men are not that bad as sisters speak about their husbands, because they will say, no, my husband is so bad. He's the best husband, but to not bring like interest into their home, man. Sisters, I'm so blessed. My husband bought me this, on the gram, on Facebook, everywhere. Oh, my husband, breakfast in bed.
Yeah.
And then 2 months later, you see, no, he mentally abused me and all that. I think, you shouldn't be putting too much of your life out.
You shouldn't be putting
anything.
Any of it out. It's no one's business. Exactly that. Also, what are you going to do? If I tell you, if I genuinely want your advice, then I can consult you. But that is...
Okay, we have 3 comments, so I'll bring them up, inshallah ta'ala. And then we're going to go in closing remarks. And
for his heart,
Brother Dawood Thomas, who's a student at Al-Furqan in level 1, Haji Dawood, he says, this discussion is so refreshing. Things we need to talk about, keep it going, inshallah. So if you want the part 3, but part 3 won't happen next week, inshallah. We might have something else.
Cooking.
Nabila Davids Richard says, when my husband is in a mood, all I do is cook him a liquor meal.
Yeah.
But they say the way to the man's heart is his stomach.
Stomach.
Nasima Khan, very interesting, mashallah. Sister Nasima Khan is from IFMPE.
Okay.
So I have a program with her some Sundays.
Okay.
On every Sunday.
But I think this topic, inshallah, will
very.
need to
But bring it back. I didn't read the very interesting, mashallah, very informative, and the approach is spot on. Shukran, barakallahu fikum. If you do want a part 3, then write 3 in the comment section, inshallah.
But this will be basically post you married.
So now we're married now.
You married
Now
now,
we're married now. There's a 2-year each. No? The
Yeah.
2-year each, how to maintain. So inshallah, our next discussion will be on how to maintain. And something that we as married people need ourselves, man. And I'd be the first one to claim that I'm not perfect. Maybe Sheikh, you perfect? Sheikh
I
Ashik?
assumed Mullah Ebrahim is perfect. Okay, maaf.
Maaf.
Maaf for that.
Maaf. But I mean, we're not perfect.
We're not perfect.
But these discussions need to be done. And so our ears, like they say, it's closer to our mouths.
Mouth, yeah.
So we're going to do closing comments, inshallah ta'ala. Sheikh Ashik.
Inshallah. This was an interesting discussion. Alhamdulillah. Benefited a lot from the brothers. Inshallah, hopefully we have part 3. And that
So,
will be,
yeah, just if you want 3, write 3.
you have to write 3, inshallah. And this will be more bedroom related, inshallah. With the,
More bedroom related.
Yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah.
A'udhu billah. Sheikh, I'm just coming to visit and because it's going to be too hot.
Maulana bin difficult.
I think we should do.
You people, you don't know what the mashayikh have in their minds, of knowledge and stuff like that on this topic. So it's important. What men need to know about women.
Yes.
I sent you this article. I think we can unpack.
I think that
article.
is one podcast on its own. What
Okay.
men need to know about women
and what
women need to know about men.
But that's the beauty of marriage, man.
وَلَيْسَ
Because you
الذَّكَرُ
discuss-
كَالْأُنثَى.
we can now say how equality and how
We are not the same.
We're
They're
not, the same.
yeah.
We don't like the same things. We're never gonna like the same things. We're not equal in standing. So
50 comments, it says 3.
That's gonna be hot stuff, Sheikh.
Inshallah.
We were,
Heritage
supposed to
month.
start, we were supposed to start with the hot stuff tonight, but the questions threw us off a bit. But inshallah.
Inshallah. But bring the questions. Let it come. Inshallah. Last question. The key to a good marriage is always to treat each other like girlfriend and boy. 110%
110%.
agree with Sister Samiha.
100%, mashallah.
You know, I was explaining
Take your wife.
I was explaining something at Al Furqan in level 1. It was either the introduction of Imam Nawawi or the first hadith, and somehow I used like the example of chicken, man. So how many places, chicken places is? One mentions Nando's, one mentions Pedro's, one mentions this and that. And Sister Samiha asked, now who makes the best chicken? So I wanted to answer, but then she answers, you know, your wife makes the best chicken.
Yeah,
So I asked,
question, yeah.
so I asked Haji Dawood, who makes the best chicken? He says, my wife makes it. He knows.
Mashallah.
He knows how to
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah, he's been trained.
He's been trained,
The
and he
school
knows what's good for him.
experience.
He knows what's
He
good
knows
for him.
what's good for him, yeah, mashallah.
Always keep the compliments coming, man.
Sometimes we
Affirmations,
criticize
yeah,
too much.
Yes.
beautiful affirmations, yeah.
Don't be fake. Don't be fake about it. Be real.
But I mean, sometimes you like compliment and then ask what you?
What do you
Okay,
want?
that's
What do you want? What do you want today? Mashayikh, wallahi, odd stuff, man. One last closing comments, inshallah.
May Allah Ta'ala Jazakumullah khair, number one, for all the comments tonight. We feel the love and the support, and we love the love and support. We would like you, inshallah, from the bottom of our hearts, a request from you to like the podcast, subscribe to our YouTube channel,
Share.
subscribe to our page, and share whatever things we have on our platform,
I
inshallah.
think actually lots of work has to be done on the YouTube views, because I know of a lot of people, and there's this misconception. People ask, where can I watch this afterwards? This link doesn't disappear
Yeah, it's always
until
there.
the day we delete it. All right. Also, last question. Also, forward the YouTube link to your friends and let them druk that klokkie, man. So you get the notification when
Every
the next
week.
one and
Yes.
the topic and what will be discussed, inshallah.
And also, people, a good thing is to put in any suggestions and things that you would like us to cover, inshallah. Things happening in our society, in our communities, that you would like us to
Bring up
address.
that last one. Auntie Adila Albertine, best intimacy is not the actions, but feeling protected with a husband. The topic need at least to run in 5 parts.
Ya Allah.
Okay, so
But,
but that's what we said. That woman
one.
needs to feel safe.
Yeah.
Another one.
Qasim Solomon's another student Al Furqan. I like the point. Marriage is a verb, not a noun. Barakallah fiqh. Shukran, brother Qasim.
MashaAllah.
The Al Furqan students, mashallah, they show the love to the mashayikh now.
Alhamdulillah.
Sheikh, you done?
I'm done.
Shaykh Ibrahim Charles say, her pleasure is your pleasure.
Allah. But he needs to define pleasure.
And he needs to define that pleasure.
On this couch. In the hot seat.
Sheikh Ibrahim Charles. Ibi.
We can only
Right
do
here next to Ima.
Iba. Oh, Iba.
You know the assembly
Yes.
last night.
Yeah.
So they asked them to speak about the Sahabi. And he's like, this is the voice. Can't I speak about my wife? No, man, he did that.
MashaAllah.
Sheikh Ibrahim,
We love you, Sheikh. We love you. And MashaAllah. He's never afraid to profess his love for his wife.
Yes.
MashaAllah.
No, but
That's
it
a
should
that's
be
a
like
good
that.
quality. Like
Yes,
the
it
Prophet
should be like that. It should be like
Sheikh
that.
Ibrahim, you're closing. Moulana?
May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us khairat and barakat in our marriages, inshallah.
Ameen.
And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make them like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen them to be our queens on this dunya, queens in Jannah, inshallah.
Ameen. So shukran to all the viewers, all our students and supporters for watching. Inshallah, possibly part 5 seems a lot, but I think when we're done with part 5, there'll probably be content for a part 6.
Part 1, another 2
So
parts for what?
inshallah, we have things planned for the weeks coming. And sometimes it would be a guest other than us that we have to accommodate in a certain time frame. But when we do have the opportunity to come back to this topic, we definitely will do, inshallah ta'ala. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put barakah in our marriage. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put in our marriages mawaddah
Ameen.
and rahmah, love and mercy. Because when everything else, when the spark is almost like it's dim, that love and mercy
Comes up.
comes to play. That's what makes us move, and it's our fuel when fuel is so expensive. Mawadda and rahmah is what keeps us going. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And share this episode and the one before and the one before and those before that, inshallah.
هلا بالخميس هلا بالخميس ويكند عيال هلا بالخميس هلا بالخميس هلا بالخميس ويكند عيال هلا بالخميس